Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Monday Night's Paranormal Question of the Day. We'll be right back right after a short message. Hey, everyone, and welcome to Paranormal Question of the Day. We do live podcasts with live guests, live paranormal investigations as well. We do product reviews, so sit back, enjoy the channel, get popcorn, get a soda, and I'll see you soon. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a good show tonight. We have Wayne as our special co-host tonight, and then we have
Hello.
Corey McCann with us. So it's gonna be a fun hour of just talking paranormal and getting to know Corey. And we got a few people in chat already. So hey, Kevin, how you doing? Welcome in.
Hey, Kevin. Amy.
Amy, how you doing? So hopefully everybody is having a a good Monday. Their work day went good. We don't need to discuss mine because we're already in the background.
Yeah, we'll just pass on that.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just pass on that. Hey, I'm taking offers. If anybody got a good job, I'll take it. Start 20 years over again somewhere. Anyway, so long Monday. Yes, I agree. Long Monday. So, with Corey being here tonight, and also the reason why I have Wayne with us tonight is because we were just at the old Baraboo Inn not too long ago, and Corey was our tour guide. So, but before we get into the old Baraboo stuff, Corey, who is Corey, and how did you get into the paranormal?
Well, I think it all kind of started with being introduced to unsolved mysteries when I was a kid. So there's all the ghost stories, the UFOs, the Bigfoot, and all that. Kind of gravitated toward Bigfoot and UFOs first, and then kind of got more into the paranormal and ghost stuff there. And I think things really took off for me probably in 2007 when my grandfather died, and I was coming home from work one night. It was about midnight, and I smelled him in my passenger seat, like his cigarettes and everything. It was like, oh, this is actually real. Okay, cool. Um, and it just kind of snowballed from there. I mean, I've worked in a few haunted spots over the years. I frequent some others, like the Borman House in Boston, Wisconsin. That one's actually relatively haunted. I would say if you guys have ever been there, or
Wayne,
although
take notes.
yeah, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. I know a few people there, so we can get you in. Um,
Cool.
but yeah, I think kind of what got me really honed in on kind of like understanding how I would say like my body takes on like the investigative tool part. Like I could feel presences,
Okay.
all around me. I wouldn't say I'm like a medium or anything. I'll leave that up to people like Scotty Rorick.
Right, right.
but
But you get the
but
feels, though.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's you get the instant goosebumps and everything else, and
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your and Wayne, jump in anytime when you if you got want to ask a question. So, um, but what was your first location that you went to paranormal wise, just like with equipment and stuff?
that's the thing. I typically only use phone apps to really kind of gauge things in a location. Um, Probably because I'm too cheap to actually buy like good equipment. But between different SLS and Ghostbox apps, I've checked out a few different places to really kind of get a feel for how to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the first one for sure that I've done with equipment was Old Baraboo Inn before I even got hired on there to do anything. But I've also checked other places. I like to go into cemeteries. Um, the one in the one in the Dells as you're going out towards Montello.
Mm-hmm.
That's got a few people in there, a few spirits in there. I like to kind of hang out by the Belle Boyd grave because that was the Confederate spy. Just to see if she ever says anything. She hasn't yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
And then other times I've, used the SLS cams at Man Mound outside of Baraboo. That
Okay.
one's definitely got a lot of like heavy presence. It's almost like a cone of silence there. Like you can't hear anything around you, but you can definitely feel kind of from the wood line
Mm-hmm.
that there's definitely a guardian spirit watching.
So like a shift in energy and wise.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
Wayne,
yeah.
you got any questions you want to tell you?
Yeah. So what? So you said like too cheap to buy equipment and stuff. There's the thing. There is you can use like the cheapest equipment you can find, and you can still find great stuff. You could go in with a recorder. Darren's brought his recorder. He's gotten so much crazy stuff on that thing. And the thing is that some people don't know is like you don't need great equipment at all. You could walk
No.
into somewhere and start investigating, and you could find a ton of stuff just using a recorder and a little, what do I have it, EMF meter or something.
Right.
That's what we use. Even on your cell phone, you could catch a voice. We caught a voice on one of our investigations just on our cell phone.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
I've been using the recorder on the phone a little more often to 'cause I love getting the I'll think of it, the EVPs. Sorry, I was like brain
Hmm.
misfired there for a minute.
Hmm.
I have it
But
all the time.
right. But EVPs is kind of like the big thing I'm kind of focusing on right now because those are things where it's like, okay, I can eliminate this, and this as a possibility. So if it's either I can either debunk it pretty quick or hey, I might actually have something here because I go into things kind of the mind to take in what's happened, debunk if I can, and then try to dig further to find out if there's something further to pursue.
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of
definitely.
the way to go about because you're really opening your mind to the location and so to speak, you're listening, but also they're listening to you.
Right.
You know,
Hmm.
and a lot of times what Wayne was talking about with the recorder is, yeah, I mean, I love the recorder because it's so much fun. Hey, Penny, how you doing? And Abby's in, and then we have Carmen is in the chat. Um, but I go through it so many times, like I get to a noise, and I think it's this. I rewind it again. It's like you're going over it 4 or 5, sometimes 10 times to even think of what it is. Um, Even if you think you don't have anything, and it's like you go by it, and it's like you're in the mode during the day. Like for me, it's at night when I'm just sitting there, like, okay, I'm just gonna put it on my headphones. I'm gonna listen, and all of a sudden, it's just like you're catching stuff left and right.
Hmm.
And I keep a notepad of everything that I do, what time it was, what I think it was. Sometimes I send it to Wayne and to the group page and see what they think. Um, but that's the best ways to have it is as somebody to double check and listen to what you think you found, and it's like they might have the answer. You know,
We
so
found a lot of that when we were watching the video we just did on Baraboo Inn, and John edited it. He's our editor and stuff, so he like edits the video. We're watching the video, and I'm like, Abby, grab paper and a pen. And we went through the whole video because we used Darren's Spirit Box, and I'm like, well, I didn't hear that at the time. I didn't hear that at the time.
right.
And all of a sudden, all these answers are like linking up, and you're like, holy crap. You could think like, oh, this kind of sucks. We didn't get anything. And then we
Hmm.
get home, and I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah.
And it makes you think, well, what can I do to hear it real time? Like,
Yeah.
so it's crazy the stuff that you don't hear until you finally replay it.
Yeah. I always say too with the recorder, everybody's got the DR60 Panasonic recorder. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an old recorder. Every time I listen to it, I just hear static. But
Yeah.
they're hearing the voices on it. I'm like, how could you hear anything when it's like I'm like, where do you get a voice out of that?
Hmm.
With the
Right.
newer recorders that are out there, they're digitalized. You can hear it because it's such a clean feed. It's
Hmm.
amazing. Um, and you don't have to go break the bank neither. I mean, the one I have is like it was $100, but
Hmm.
the DR60 is like $5,000, and you have a hard time
Hmm.
finding it. So the expense
We
part
just
of it
bought
doesn't
a
really matter that much. It's just how it's being used.
Right.
yeah, we just bought a kit off Amazon or I did $49, and you got that UV light, you got a voice recorder, and an EMF meter for like $49. So
Oh,
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
put
they have
that
good
down right
deals on
now.
them. Yeah, yeah, I can send it to you. I mean, it's a good recorder too.
Yeah, a lot of them have dual mics. Some have one mic. Mine
Hmm.
happens to have three mics. So, um, but that's just what you find. But it doesn't matter what the mics, and as long as you're catching something, you
Right.
Hmm.
catch something on $100 recorder and have a $5,000 recorder right next to it, and not catch nothing on it.
Hmm.
It's just a matter of what they like, I guess, the most. But
Yeah. And I know I've caught more stuff on accident than I have on purpose. Like my best piece of evidence, period, was at OBI. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Um, I was I had my my older iPhone at the time trained on there's a medium named Shell. She was doing um a crystal experiment, I think. She was trying to get in contact with Mr. Capone, and she just happened to be sitting in front of a mirror and a very reflective picture. And I didn't notice it until I got home at like 2 a.m. So I'm going through my files and I come to that video and I'm watching. All of a sudden, whew, lady in white right through the picture.
wow,
Wow.
Yeah, and I had really good recall of the evening. I knew there were three people in the building that were wearing white. Not a one of them were in that room, and that was in
wow,
that bad gangster bar area.
mm,
Wow.
that's crazy.
Was it when you say the were you? Do you mean like the pendulum one, like a pendulum with the
Yeah,
crystal at the bottom? That's what
yeah,
you're talking. Okay.
yeah. I can't remember what she called it, but I know I talked to her about it like about a year later when I
Mhm.
saw her again, and she was like, "Wow, that came out when I was doing that." I was like, "Yeah,
Wow. I've
Interesting.
always thought people do that, but I've never known what it was. So but I know it's for like kind of like conjuring or um, getting in touch with stuff.
yeah." I think it was like she was like trying to center her energy on trying to bring up a specific spirit, and in this case, it was Al Capone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Ooh,
interesting. I mean, there's
yeah.
lots to be had at OBI that we have not touched yet, but um,
No.
we'll be heading back there for a live show like this year yet. So, um, so with the paranormal stuff, do you ever talk to anybody outside of OBI about paranormal stuff or
Oh yeah.
whatnot? And do they give? Is there any backlash about it or what?
No,
Okay.
no. Usually, anything I talk about from there is usually like any feedback I get is generally, oh, okay. I know there's stuff happening there, but I was not expecting that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. I have a lot of friends that are either really into the paranormal and believe everything, or they're skeptical, but they still want to see something that will give them definitive proof, which they're
Hmm.
probably going to wind up being disappointed more often than not, because if
Right.
you're looking for one specific thing, they're almost never going to give you that one specific thing.
Yeah, and then when they
Yeah.
do, it's when you least expect it.
Yep.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the story of our life with this stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, we always want to have fun with it, and that's the way we should. Okay, have you ever been into any paracons of any interest in going to one? That's what Abby wants to know.
I really wanted to do Michigan Paracon just to see how that was, but then I just never got the chance to go up last year with the job I have, like the real job I have.
Hmm.
But then I found out that that was going to be the last year of it. But I see that apparently Missouri Paracon's kind of trying to take over the space, at least as far as who all they're bringing in and things like that. So that's one I might have to take a look at next year.
Yeah,
'Cause that
friend of
falls
mine
kind
just
of into the
went.
slow season.
Friends of mine, Raven Rose Paranormal, just went, and they had a blast.
Oh, I
So
don't think our team's ever been to one.
yeah, there's spirits in the spring at Broadhead Manor. Now it's going to be called something else.
Paranormal Rockdown, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, the whole thing with uh, Broadhead is going to be changing in a different kind of way of investigating, so to speak. Uh, but that's not for me to talk about. That's for Bill to chime in on that. So, because I don't want to say anything wrong. So,
Right.
um, but do you ever like get does the paranormal ever like give you a sense of fear or scared of it at some point, or do you think it's just more like I can handle this, nothing's gonna scare me, but when it does, how am I gonna react?
I never go in with any type of fear. Like I usually go in and feel out the energy.
Hmm.
Um, More often than not, if I come in with good positive energy, I'm almost never gonna have a bad experience as far as that goes. Um, I think it's a one of those cases where if you were a jerk in life, you're gonna be a jerk in death. So if you run into one of them spirits, it's like, okay,
Hmm.
like I'm not gonna be scared of you, but I'll give you
Yeah.
your respect, but I'm not gonna be scared of you.
Right.
Um, there's been a couple times where there's been a particular energy that I've felt where it's like, okay, maybe I need to go. Um, but yeah, nothing. I never really go in with any sort of heavy fear or anything like that. It's just never been my bag.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a good way to go about it because it's we all come with different kind of energies, and Wayne is they're just recently at a location that no matter how positive you walk into something, it could change on a dime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The energy. Yeah. Energy's huge. And it's amazing how quick it shifts.
Hmm. But we'll
Um,
talk more about the location I went to tomorrow night. If you're, I think we're still go for that,
yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
So we'll get into that tomorrow night, Corey. If you're not doing anything, you can listen in.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
so, is there a piece of equipment that you don't care for, or something that you really want to get that you think that would be like game changing in the paranormal realm, like outside the box type deal?
Nothing outside the box comes to mind for me right now as far as something that I think could work. But I have a love-hate relationship with SLS. I
Hmm.
just do.
Mhm.
Sometimes it yields really good results. Like I've gotten images dancing on tables. I've gotten that,
Mhm.
but at the same
Wayne, what are
time,
you doing?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And other times it's just
That'd be
like,
amazing.
yeah. Other times it's just like it's taking on the shape of whatever's in front of me, and it's just kind of
Like a,
spoiling the batch out of whatever room I'm in. Because
Hmm.
I've I've had that in a location where there's two dream catchers hanging.
Yeah.
Well, caught the it caught something on one of the dream catchers, but it never moved. So it's like, okay, is this really a thing? Is this something I need to investigate further? And I wasn't really sure, but I did send it on to other people in the paranormal world that I knew at the time.
Hmm.
Just to be like, hey, is this anything? Was there something I should have done different? But it all just goes back to me having a love hate relationship with SLS. I just really do. But as far as something I'm fully in love with, thermal. All day, all
Oh,
Mm.
night. I'll run thermals.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he used the one at the night we were there,
Yep,
and he caught something pretty darn interesting. You want to talk about that?
sure. Um, so when Darren and I were in the front bar there, we just kept catching this weird, like really hot signature. And it was kind of like coming out of different areas in the baseboards of the floor. But there's no heat grates or anything like that, or anything to do with the thermostat along that border of the floor. And I couldn't figure out for the life of me what it was. I even had Darren look at it, and he was like, "Yeah, I have no idea."
I mean, it wasn't
Wow.
anywhere close to what it was reading for temperature wise.
Yeah,
I mean,
because it was reading what, like 101, 102, something crazy like that,
I
and
think
then
we topped out at 105.
yeah, and then
Oh,
I think you went over there to look and like touch the area, and there was nothing there that could give that signature
No,
off.
exactly. It's
none
like
of
at
them
the
be that
most.
hot.
I mean, it could be about 70 degrees at the most, maybe. But
Wow.
it was definitely a weird thing that I've never experienced before with it reading something that hot. I mean, that's something that you would expect, like, Phoenix or Vegas or something like that out in, in the desert, reading something that
Yeah,
hot, but
nothing
not
would be that.
there.
Yeah,
Because when he
and
would
it was
pull away, like it would
snowing.
drop right away.
It was like a winter day snowing. Like nothing's gonna put that up on the for numbers. Even
I'm almost
inside.
And the
right,
thermostat was set at like 64, so it shouldn't have been that warm.
right, and it's right below a
101
window
and
and
105.
everything.
Yeah, and all that
That's
wiring got
even,
redone when BC rebuilt the building, so everything is up to code and safe and everything. So I don't know what happened there.
Hmm.
and
Never
isn't it
seen it
by that
before.
front door?
Yeah, by the front
Isn't
door,
it
just
in
on
the
that,
corner?
I believe, second table in. I think that's where
Yep,
we were at.
second table in, and then going toward the dance floor, and then about first table in, coming in the other way, going toward the gangster bar.
I mean, if you were talking to somebody through like a spirit box, maybe they were just sitting there talking to you.
Well, we did have it running.
Yeah.
And we got some crazy stuff out of that too. I mean, it's just, I know for a fact we were talking to one of the ladies that worked upstairs in the brothel.
Yep,
I think we were too, because we were in the seance room the same time you guys were over there.
Hmm.
So when she was done talking to you, she probably popped in by us.
good
She got,
chance.
they got filthy.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say
yeah, and
I
ours
want.
too.
I was gonna say I was watching the video after it come out, and I was like, boy, she came in
Yeah,
hot over there.
she
Yeah,
called me a big boy.
Yeah, we might have got her lit up a little bit there.
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
think we
holy
did.
cow.
It was very interesting. But yeah, we got the lady over there, and then you came out and was like, "Hey, are you guys making this noise, making that noise?" I'm like,
Yeah,
"No, we're just standing here." I mean, he
yeah, because there
had,
was a loud bang
yeah,
over by
and
your
then he
side.
borrowed the amplified headphones because he's never used those
Oh,
before either.
what'd you think of those?
Oh, that was an experience.
Those are pretty cool.
Yeah, it just kind of threw me off because something must have happened in the seance room at a particular point because all of a sudden I think I could hear
Oh,
you saying something like louder.
whoa. Yeah,
Yeah, so I think I think I might have caught that moment when I was watching the video after it got released.
Yeah,
I want to say it was probably about 38 minutes in or something like that, or
yeah,
maybe 40 minutes in, one of the two. 'Cause it was
yeah,
halfway through your session in there.
yeah. It was crazy in there too.
Yeah.
Darren
Um,
fell down the stairs. It was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
took 3 weeks for that pain to go away. Uh, but it's gone. It's gone.
John didn't put that in the video. That's in the bloopers.
Is it really?
I think he
Wow.
was in front of you, so I don't think he caught it.
Yeah. See, I thought I had. Now, this is a thing, and I was telling Shelly about it, which you weren't supposed to tell her. Yeah,
Oops.
I get a message the very next day. It's like, yeah. So I hear you fell down the stairs. I'm like, Corey, you weren't supposed to say anything.
I mean, in my defense, it may have also been who was that? Who were the other two that were helping me out with the tour? Tyler and God, I can never remember her name.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Yeah, she might have said something too.
probably. And I was live on
yeah.
TikTok, and I stayed live. But the thing is I went back. When you can find your lives on TikTok and replay it, it's not in there.
Oh, of course.
The whole section down in the basement never got recorded.
Oh wow.
But it says I have 38 minutes of recording time.
That's crazy. That happened to us once too.
It's like I
Not
only
there,
get like
but
2 minutes to
remember.
watch it, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe the bouncer at the bottom of the stairs just doesn't like TikTok. I don't know.
Could
No
be.
camera. Yeah,
But
it makes sense. No cameras. No recording down here.
yeah. So going back to the heat signature that we're getting so hot with. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Now below that window in the basement part, where would that be in the basement part?
That particular spot would have been the torture room.
Yeah, the
Okay.
interrogation room.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Now that I think about, I thought it was back by the stairs, but I'm like, no, that's the stage. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
So
think that's right above that.
so if we're coming out of a torture room and having a hot heat signature, that's raises a lot of questions.
Yeah, and it may also be, and this is something that came up in my mind, days later. I
Hmm.
was thinking back to the history of the building and the fact of the fire and everything in 1989.
I'm
oh
I
just
was
reading.
yeah,
thinking, I was thinking, what if it's just residual from that?
Uh huh.
yeah, that could
And
be.
like, I know that the fire originated from a deep fryer in the kitchen.
Okay.
So once it spread out and then they were dumping the water in there, yeah, the walls would have gotten hot, but they wouldn't have necessarily caught fire because the shell of the building stayed up essentially.
Hmm.
I mean, it was the upstairs that got absolutely roasted.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
the and the inner core of the building got beat up pretty good, but the outside stayed like real good bones for a 150-year-old building.
Right.
Oh, I bet. Yeah,
And
full brick, like Cream City brick and stuff, right? In that
Yeah.
and
building.
there's limestone in the basement, correct?
Yes.
Fieldstone too, right? Or no?
Yeah, there might be fieldstone in there.
So
Fieldstone
essentially that
limestone.
keeps its heat. So, but really, 105. I can't really see that keeping that heat for that long period of time, even though being, you know, sitting there for 150 years.
Mm-hmm.
It perplexes me because it's like it's the same thing that kind of happened at Edinburgh Manor, where you go in the boiler room where you got
Oh,
limestone certain part and then another part isn't.
yeah.
So I don't know. It just it strikes a chord, and I'll be curious when we go back again if we can get that get that going again, and if we can come up with the same numbers. So,
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah,
definitely
I
try.
definitely want to revisit that for sure.
Yeah.
What what's the what's the biggest kind of like paranormal experience you've ever had at OBI? Is there one that sticks out
There's a
that
few.
really made you think, whoa?
There's a few, but I think it was my first real introduction to the spirits. I was in
Oh.
there for the first event that I went to because Shelly finally talked me into it. Because I'd been kind of badgering her, kind of like a little bit on the skeptic side, because I was seeing all this evidence pop up on Facebook, and I was like, "Come on, really, really?" And then
Mhm.
she finally talked me into it. Now, so I went in for this event, and this is probably, I want to say, 2021 or 2022, and I was standing in the middle of the front bar when the presentation was being done. So this is back when BC was still alive. He was behind the bar. He was right behind the taps, and I was standing kind of like right dead center, right in front of that spot. And the only people around me were like 6 feet behind me and probably 3 or 4 feet in front of me. All of a sudden, I just feel joink right on the back of my hoodie that I was wearing. And I looked back at the
Wow.
people behind me. I was like, "Say, you guys?" They're like, "No." And I looked over at BC, and all of a sudden, like everything just raised up on my forearms. And I looked over at BC. I was like, "Dude, was that one of them?" He goes, "Yeah." Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
So that was kind of like, just busted my cherry right there. That was, we were
Yeah.
off to the races after that.
Yeah. I mean,
When
that's
they
just it.
when they tap you, or like pull it, we had our hair. I had my hair pulled, the back of my hair pulled. When they touch you or do something like that, that's one to remember. I'm sure you remembered that one for sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I full on froze. I was like, "Okay, cool." Now it's kind of become a regular thing because I would say probably about every, I don't know, every 3 times I'm in there, something will touch me. Whether it's a poke on
Oh
the
yeah.
shoulder or, a tap on the head or something. It's like, yeah, we remember.
Hmm.
I mean, it's strange when you go in there because you go to the back bar, you go back by the bathrooms, and then you go to the front bar. It's like it has four different feelings and a whole level.
Yeah.
It's weird. I've never really come across anything that had that much of a different feel wherever you started moving, and
Yeah.
that was baffling to see that. And then when you get to the brothel area, um, that itself has a whole different vibe.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Um,
and you got to think about all the different spirit traffic just in that brothel room,
hmm
because you have the business transactions going on. You got the kids room. You've got, that front parlor where anything can happen.
Hmm.
In fact, that's where most of the things that got caught on that were featured on that show, that or Fright Club, that was featured on Fright Club.
hmm
It came from
Hmm.
that parlor room in the brothel, from the
Oh
spirits
wow.
having sex right in front of the monitor there,
Oh yeah, that's right.
to, the guy getting a lap dance. That was all out in the parlor.
Wow.
They weren't even in the bedroom.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about that. I was like, it got pretty funky.
Oh yeah, yeah. It still happens up there. I get every now and then. I'll get one of the girls sitting on my lap. It happens.
Yeah.
So
Ooh, I see
Abby's
an interesting question there.
yeah, Abby's got a question here. She was wondering, how do you feel about shadow figures? Do you want to see one? Do you see them? And yeah, go from there.
I've seen them. Um, Only at OBI. It's the only place I've seen them. And I've been in a lot of places that have had a lot of opportunity to have them, but OBI is the only place where I've seen them. I've seen at least two. One was rather large.
Hmm.
Well,
And it was that basement entrance area. This goes back to my first time there for an event. I was scared. I wasn't scared, but I had a little trepidation about wanting to go down there. So I was just like, yeah, no, I'll sit this
We
one
caught
out.
him, Wayne.
You caught me.
mhm.
It was the only time. It was the only time. There was a little trepidation, but it wasn't fear. I was like, I want to see how it goes. So I was watching on those monitors that are on the back there, and all of a sudden, this huge shadow figure just kind of rises up from the stairs and just envelops that doorway. And I would say within about probably 2 minutes, one of the people that were participating in the event charges right up the stairs. She was out of breath, wasn't feeling good. So I don't know if it was leading her out or telling me coming in hot, there's one leaving. Like, I don't know, but that it's pretty good size. I wouldn't say I was shook, but I was definitely like, holy cow, that was different.
So you've never had anything rush you at all?
No.
Okay. Wayne, we'll have to
Oh,
experience that maybe at Malvern, where there's a
oh my gosh.
7 foot shadow figure, we call it in Shadow Man Hallway. He likes to rush people.
Ooh.
I've I've been rushed before, but not by a shadow figure. I didn't see what was
Abby doesn't
rushing me.
count.
I could see I could see her.
I mean, if she's wearing all black, dude, come on.
Oh, I'm gonna hear this one
Oh,
later on.
you know,
Oh, she is
you know,
definitely punching me in the kneecap next time she sees me.
yeah.
No, thank you. Oh, that's funny. So let's get into a little bit of like old school, like holy water. Do you believe in holy water? Do you believe in trigger objects? Do you believe in like praying before starting an investigation, ending an investigation? How do you feel about that?
If it's a new location, I will typically use the prayer of Saint Michael.
Mm-hmm.
That's
That's
usually a
what
good
we
one.
use.
Yeah, and that one was I actually got that from Dave Schrader. Just listening to one of his shows, he had actually mentioned that and said it was good at all times. But if I'm used to a location, I typically don't use it because I typically have an idea of the energy level, what's going to happen, how I need to react, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Holy water. See, I wasn't raised Catholic, so I'm not really
So you think it's just
fully in
water,
tune with it. Yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not really fully in tune with it, but I can understand the use.
right?
But I'm
The
also
intent,
now,
basically.
yeah, I'm not one of those guys who's like everything's a demon. Oh, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So I kind of steer away from that. Um, but trigger objects, I fully believe in.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, usually anything with, especially if I'm going anywhere totally truly old school that um if maybe they have some of the objects from the previous owners in the house, I do like to either point them out or use them in a way to see if anything does come up.
Hmm.
A lot of the times it doesn't, but the times it does, it's definitely quite impactful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's why I'm really a fan of the REM pods that are built into like teddy bears and stuff,
Okay. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that'll get kid spirits out. I know some people are kind of against the idea of kid spirits, but
Their spirits are spirits.
yeah, spirits are spirits. And you gotta
Mm-hmm.
you gotta be able to talk to all of them. You can't
Hmm.
just be talking to old man Abernathy and just trying to get him over and over again when you know darn well he had like 25 kids and one of them died in the
Mhm.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I dressed up for the occasion, um, and that had a significant trigger on stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely dug up some serious activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in the basement area.
Yeah, that was weird. I got weird with the, um, also being up in the brothel area where Shelly had me sitting at one chair in a corner, and everybody else was all talking, and I believe the lady's got husband that toured with us. He was
Yeah.
sitting off to the left of me, and it's like all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's like I started feeling it touched here. I started getting touched here, and I'm like, man, is anybody else getting touched here? It was weird, but then I started feeling pain like right here. And I'm like, I don't know why I'm feeling pain right here because I didn't do anything extravagant, and this is way before I even fell down the stairs yet.
Right.
And
Right.
and it's like she told me that the guy actually had a heart attack that sat in that chair. He had a heart attack. And
Yep.
I'm like,
Hmm.
holy crap, that's what I was feeling. It was such a weird moment. Um, Not to
Mhm.
mention that I was sleeping on that couch and I heard a female whisper Ben in my ear.
Hmm.
And Shelly's like, yeah, there's a spirit named Ben up there.
Yeah, it's one of the kid
Huh.
spirits.
Yeah. And at that point in time, I says, I don't recollect hearing her talk about Ben. I think that's going through that moment of what was going on with me. Like I was not with the conversation.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah, triggers are definitely, and this is actually the first time I ever dressed up for a location like that because it's like, and I was telling Wayne, it's like, hey, you know what? This is a really cool gangster place to go to. I want to dress up. I try
Mhm.
to convince these guys to dress up, but like, oh no, I'm
Yeah.
not doing it. And it's like, no, I'm gonna try and see what happens. And that's something I'm definitely gonna keep with me and wear no matter where I go, because it's like it worked. I did
Yeah.
not expect it to work.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things where you gotta have a series of costumes at your disposal.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are, let's see, I'm trying to think. About 2.5, 3 hours from me is the site of the only battle waged in Wisconsin for the War of 1812, down in Prairie du Chien. It's right
Hmm.
on that little island where Villa Louis is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Villa Louis has got a lot of activity, but I don't think anybody's attempted to really trigger any activity out on the battlefield because they still have one.
Huh.
Like they rebuilt one of the towers from the old fort down there.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody went down there just maybe by themselves or whatever, wearing some of that War of 1812 garb, either the British side or the American side, there's a chance you might be able to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
course,
that
I
reminds me
don't
of
know how easy
military
it'll be to.
then.
Of course, I don't know how easy it'll be to get in there because that's a state-owned property. But
Definitely have to ask for permission, that's for sure. But I agree with what Abby was saying here. I mean, just the way how I was feeling somebody else's feelings, you know.
Hmm.
But so let's get into the old Baraboo Inn. How did you get introduced into working there, and talk a little bit about the spirits about the location, if you like.
yeah, so I've been going to the location probably since about 2021, 2022. Like I said, was there for probably 5 or 6 different events. Finally, this last February, I think it was either February or March, Shelly just come right up to me and asked me straight up, "Want to work here?" I was like, "Okay, sure." Um, so I got in and did the bartender training and whatnot, and got my license, and I've been in there ever since. Actually, I think I might have not. No, I didn't start there till June, but she first asked in like that March April time swing there.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it was because she knows that I do get a lot of activity around me, and it's only intensified since I've started working there. Um, but yeah, we can go through some of the more popular residents. So there, we'll start with the cowboy because he seems to be the most popular one out of anybody.
Hmm.
He's only been seen once or twice, to my knowledge. There is one picture floating around that could be him. Typically a taller guy, big 10-gallon hat, like stupidly tall 10-gallon hat. Um, Southern drawl. It's speculated that he's probably from the panhandle area of Texas. Very polite, but he has come through in different recordings and different EVP sessions, pretty much admitting to being a cheat at cards. Um, Loves his tobacco, loves his whiskey. Um, Definitely plenty of the girls there. The one that follows me around a lot is Sybil. This is
Hmm.
the one that's typically seen wearing white. That's the one I caught in the video, which remind me to send that to you guys because it was pretty neat. Um, so we have Sybil there. She's typically one of the mainstays. There are two different Marys. One is Madam Mary, which is I think who Darren and I were talking to.
I think so too, because she was pretty direct.
Oh, very direct.
Yeah.
And then the other was a teacher that was hired on to teach the students, to teach the kids. Like they're in the building. Um, I'm trying to think who else is there. Oh, obviously Shelly's brother BC is still there. He has kicked me out of his spot more than once. It's like right where you're walking into the bar from that corner door, that corner of the bar. That's where he always hung out. I caught myself standing there and I felt a presence like right directly like over my shoulder. And I had a little crystal light can with cat balls in it right in front of me. And I go, I'm in your spot, ain't I? And all of a sudden the cat balls lit right up. I'm like, all right, you got it. I'm moving. And I just slid right over. Shelly busted a gut. Everybody thought that was hilarious. Um, Again, another situation where anybody else probably would have been scared, but I was just like, oh, yeah, duh, I'm being rude. Let me move. So
Question
he's
for
in,
you:
yeah,
Have you heard the name Dan there before?
probably once or twice that's come up.
We got that last in our video. A voice in the background saying, "My name is Dan." So I was
Oh.
curious. Like you could, if it's toward, I don't know if I have it marked, but it's when we're in that seance room and you hear like, I said, "Are we talking to a woman?" And then right after that it says, "My name is Dan."
Oh.
Like, yeah, it's like if you listen to it, it's a clear voice.
Was there
But I'm like,
did it seem like there was any inflection in the voice or an accent or anything?
see, I thought, yeah, there was like there wasn't any accent or anything. It's to me, it sounded like an older gentleman, but to
Hmm.
Abby, it sounded like a kid. Um,
Hmm.
so I don't know if there's a child there named Dan or if I
I
don't
mean, it's
know, but it
possible.
very clearly, my name is Dan, and that's all we
Hmm.
got from it. Yeah, because we didn't hear it until we reviewed our audio, and I'm like, well, nobody else would say that. Like,
Right. There weren't any
we
Dans in
don't
the
have a
building,
Dan.
so
No,
um oh, Abby's
not
saying
a
not a
kid.
kid, but like a middle-aged man.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I know since I've been there, I've been trying to coax a name out of Cowboy. I mean, I know he only responds to Cowboy, but Shelly
Could
and I
be
have
two.
both put in time trying to coax that name out of him. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Maybe Dan is it. I don't know. But it's a
It's kind of
possibility.
near that. It's near that front bar, so maybe.
Could be.
I think
Yeah,
Wayne should dress up as a cowboy next time.
I think so too.
I could do that. I got a cowboy hat around here. I think I could pull something together.
Get you a
That would be
good duster
interesting.
jacket. Absolutely.
Yeah, cowboy boots. I could do
Yeah.
that.
See?
An obnoxious belt buckle.
Yeah. Well, and I was gonna tell you too. We were talking about trigger objects. I don't know if you were around when I mentioned this, but I found something. This one's on Etsy, and it
Okay.
has like it's a it's got EMF, and you can it's a clip, so it can
Oh
make
yeah, I remember you
anything.
saying that.
It can make anything like a trigger object. You just clip it onto whatever you want to be a trigger object, and then whenever something would go for it, it alerts. Like it makes that noise like a REM pod would make.
Oh,
But
cool.
it's like, but you can put it on anything. Like you could kind of clip it to like maybe the edge of like a whiskey glass or the edge of a shot glass. You can do like a bunch of stuff with it.
Hmm.
So that might
Abby
be
needs to
something too.
Abby
I
needs to
like
dress
it.
you up as Woody.
I mean, if she comes in dressed like Bo Peep, then,
Yeah, you never know.
Hey, I'm willing to try anything of dressing up like what the results we got last time. I mean, why not?
I don't
absolutely.
think we got. Yeah, I don't think we got to investigate the. We were all well. Darren was ready to go, but me and Abby and John pooped out upstairs in the brothel, so we didn't investigate there.
Yeah, we got something coming up though. There's a
Yeah.
snake in my boot. Looking at my boot, Andy's toy. Oh man, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So when we come back up there or back down there, we're gonna have to. I'll bring my stuff again and see if you dressed up as a cowboy.
We got to make
Be
sure
making
Corey's
for a
our
very
guide.
interesting night. What's
Corey's got to
that?
be our guide
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
up
oh
there.
yeah. I think it's
We
just
request him.
yeah, we'll
I'll
request
be
them.
there. One way or another, I'll be there.
Perfect.
You want to explain a little bit about the basement? Yes, the dreaded basement that I fell down in. Why do you have to announce yourself before you go down there and wait 10 seconds?
Yeah, so basically, assless chaps, or it didn't happen. I love you, Allie. I see you. um, yeah, so
Trying to get that image out of your head.
roll the credits.
Oh,
We're
God.
done. No, I'm kidding. We'll keep going.
I have a pair.
There we go. We're on it. Let's go.
Leather with that whip.
That's right.
Yeah. All right, it was fun.
Yeah, I can see the hook coming in from the other side of the room there. But yeah, so to kind of get back into what we were talking about there, the
Stairs.
announcement at the stairs is basically to there's a bouncer down at the bottom of the stairs, a spiritual bouncer. He keeps an eye on everything in the basement, and he's the only one that's either going to allow you to continue or tell you you ain't coming down. So you have to announce yourself with, full respect of what's going on down there. And the waiting 10 seconds is to let BC, the previous owner, know, hey, we're going down there. We could use your help. So giving that 10 seconds allows him a chance to go down ahead of us
Mm-hmm.
because the bouncer already knows him, having been there for 20 years.
Right.
Um, then when you get all the way in there into that basement and you get to those two rooms on the right, well, that first room you come across is the escape tunnel. That's where if one of the gangsters had to get out quick, they could just go out that tunnel that goes right under the street. And that was also a spot where that crazy heat signature could have been coming from as well. Because that
Right.
was kind of back in that midway point there.
Okay. That makes
Um,
sense.
but yeah, there was a tunnel that ran underneath the street there into that building across the street, kind of going uh, west. There was another brewery across the street there, if I remember correctly. And then
Yeah.
there was another one just down the road on the other side where all those apartment buildings are. Um, so that was kind of the seedier part of town. So typically you didn't have to worry about getting caught by the cops or anything going across the street normally.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just wanted to make a quick getaway without getting seen, you'd just go through there. And then that next room in on the right, that was the interrogation room.
Yep.
So that's where everybody got their asses kicked before they got taken into the poll room, which we'll get to in a moment.
Yep.
But that
It's a tight
interrogation
room.
room, it's a tight room and it's also got the heaviest feeling and energy out of any of the rooms in that building,
Mm-hmm.
to me at least. Like, I will only go in there with mediums that I trust. So if Scotty's there, I'll go in there. If the two that were helping us out are there, I'm going in there. Anybody else, it's like, not that I don't trust you, but I'll just stay outside.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not really out of a place of fear. That's more out of a place of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And you're also not supposed to touch the walls too. That's another thing you
correct.
brought up.
Yes. This is only something that got brought to my attention last year during the summer. We did have a couple other mediums in there that they were kind of getting the message from the other side that the walls itself were holding like some sort of energy that it may not have been like super dark or anything, but it was definitely something that was going to make you um pay attention. And I've seen it have that effect on people.
Hmm.
Not, I've seen people come out of there after accidentally touching it. They didn't do it on purpose. They
Mm-hmm.
just kind of leaned back without thinking, and suddenly they felt nauseous, sad, uh, essentially having a full-on anxiety attack with absolutely no trigger.
Right.
And
Wow.
it was all based off of touching that wall.
Jeez. Um, that's interesting. Before we get to the execution pole area, Abby's got the question here. Does anyone ever prevent them from going downstairs to the basement? They tried with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say dragging you down the stairs was definitely an interesting way to do it, but no, I haven't encountered that. That would probably be a question better suited for Shelley or maybe even Scotty Rourke if you get a chance to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would say those would be your better two options to find anything like that out. But to my experience, to my knowledge, no, nobody has been like energetically kicked out. Like, not at the bottom of the stairs, certainly not at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Typically that heavier feeling will come when you get deeper in.
Yeah.
Sometimes all the way
About
into
where
the
Darren
execution room, or sometimes the interrogation room. People
or
just
where
freak
Darren
out and say,
fell.
yeah, or where Darren fell.
Yeah. Well, then the funny thing, well, not so funny really, because when Shelly told me all about that area, that there's actually was a death at the bottom of those stairs already,
Yeah, that sounds about right.
and I'm like,
Hmm.
God damn it! And here I fall, I pop back up and say, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah,
Right.
great. At least you didn't drag you up the stairs and out.
Well,
Oh, that
there
would
is
have been fun to watch.
Yeah.
but you did say also too when you leave, you have to announce yourself that you're leaving.
Yes. Yes. That's just it kind of goes back to that whole respect thing.
Hmm.
Like you want to thank them for the opportunity to be down there with them in that secret conclave that they have.
Hmm.
And then, that's going to be your opportunity to say, hey, whoever's down here, you got to stay down here. Do not follow me. I do not allow that. And really, it's kind of out of courtesy, too, because if you're making friends with those people, don't you want to be friendly with them when you're on your way out so they'll welcome you back when you come back?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. So we got the freezer, and then we got the execution pole.
Yeah,
Mhm.
now the freezer's fun. I don't I don't go in there very often because I really have no need to. All of our, backstock beer and everything's kind of up on the main level now.
Hmm.
But I have had friends that have worked there in the past when it was like everything was going on in there, the Friday night fish fries, the dinner service, everything else. Um, they would go down there, they'd go in the cooler, just going to grab a case of beer or something for the kitchen or something. And it didn't take long, and all of a sudden, wham, door shuts. Like fully shuts. And you need to put some force on it, like you
Right.
guys are being
Yeah.
shown. You have to put some force on it because it's like a 25-year-old Lear cooler. So I mean
Hmm.
it's built like an old battle tank.
Hmm.
Um Now thankfully there is that release on the inside so you can get out.
Right.
But the spirits like to have a little extra fun. They fiddle with the light switch too.
Yeah.
So they'll either turn the lights straight out or they'll flicker them. Sometimes they just like to hear you scream.
Oh
That's
yeah.
John. That's John.
John's a screamer.
Yeah, maybe we'll get them next time.
Up in a brothel, you hear it.
There you go.
Oh, great.
So the execution pole, which ties into where it goes back in the corner where they play cards, and Mr. Capone is a big component of that area. Want to explain about that?
Absolutely. So as you get further into the basement and you're kind of getting back into that older limestone foundation area, a lot of that area was used when the building was originally built. That's where the brewery was. So they would brew beer down there, and that was the perfect temperature for lager tanks at the time. Now you have, the electronic lager tanks. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. But back in the day, you had to either have a cave or a really cold basement. Well, as the years went on, the brewery gets out of there. That basement's not really being used to its full potential until the gangsters come in. And during Prohibition and the gangster era, that particular room was used quite a bit for, I guess you could say, nefarious purposes. I could say that here because I'm not there.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, people have been unalived on that pole, um, tortured. Kind of like what I pointed out in the video, there could be different points in there where people were trying to resist.
Hmm.
So they were hanging on to another chunk of the frame of the building or something like that to try to get out of the inevitable.
Hmm.
Um, but at the end of the day, you were going to be taken care of. And that pole, which it's a nice thick pole,
Yeah.
it's it holds up the center of the basement essentially. Um, and then when BC bought the building and started rebuilding it, he wanted to get everything kind of the same color. And he kept painting that pole, and that pole would just go right back to the color it is right now. Like when you guys were there.
That's wild.
And there's blood stains, there's, which I don't know if I could say that on YouTube, but screwed, I already did. Whatever.
I got full disclosure up there.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, there's stains from previous executions. There are bullet holes in there. There are, I think, axe marks even. And it's very important, kind of like with that wall, you do not touch the pole. It's like touching the United States Navy ships. Don't touch the pole or you will get turned into sunlight.
Or get removed from the building.
Yes. And not even by any physical force, it's by the metaphysical. But yeah, that pole and any of the area behind it are kind of like a no zone. Very few people go back there unless they're like fully energetically prepared to sit back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
John had an issue back there.
Yes, he did. He saw something peeking out at him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he wasn't even back there. So
yeah,
I
you
can't
guys
even
were all in
imagine.
front of the pole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I mean that when you guys were there, it was actually relatively tame.
Mm-hmm.
It was, yeah. I was expecting worse. Not in a disrespectful way, but I was expecting I was preparing for the worst down there by that pool. And
yeah, but that's what I keep telling those guys is that, it's our first time being there. So we may not get much because they're, as much as we're studying them, they're studying us. And the second time we go back, it's going to be different, I think.
Yeah. I mean, think of it this way. 2 weeks before you guys were there, I had another group from the Wisconsin Rapids area. They came in, they investigated. Everything was going good till about 2 hours in. We did another rotation through the basement. It was myself and one of their team, and the energy chest shifted. And I looked at him. I said, "You grab your equipment and you get the hell out of here. Mm-hmm. We ain't playing around."
Yeah,
and we got out. And prior to that, the Paranormal Files was in there. Colin was in there, and he actually had quite the interesting experience down there. Something may have followed. Yeah, and something may have followed him in, so I don't know if that was necessarily one of the resident spirits. But that video's out now too, so folks can go and see that. But that was a pretty gnarly incident that he encountered there for that particular visit. So I mean, the basement's not something to be toyed with.
Right.
I would say if you've been there a bunch of times and you've been downstairs a bunch of times, like I have, like you guys have now, you've had that experience. Going down there is going to be a little easier. But if you're like a skeptic or somebody that really gets that big fear, like they're going for the thrill of the scare, they're probably going to get a little more than what they bargained for. Actually, a lot more than what they bargained for. So I would say to any first timers, it's not to scare you guys, but I would say probably opt out on going into the basement until you get a real good feel for the building.
I like to play poker downstairs.
Oh yeah, they've played blackjack down there too.
I mean,
we had some cards set up in the back room. The last time we were down there, a couple hands past the execution pole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's that's one of those things that you try to go outside the box of doing something different. Uh, and
Hmm.
then there are investigators that don't even think about some of that stuff sometimes. But that's what I like to do is relate as much as I possibly can to a location to get as much out of it as I can. Unfortunately, we
Exactly.
weren't able to get the cigars going because I did bring no lighter and no cutter for the cigars, but uh, it's something that I'll have to do again when I come back and smoke one outside, come back in and see what happens.
Yeah, I think you'll at least get the you might at least get the attention of the spirit that does smoke cigars. There's two spirits that smoke.
Hmm.
They typically hang out behind the bar because I encounter them every time I go in there.
Hmm.
The first one I run into is almost always going to be the cigar smoker. The second one, he loves the spicy lettuce.
Mm.
And it's not even the good spicy lettuce, it's the cheap stuff because it stinks.
I mean, I know my cigarette REM pod went off
Yes,
a
it did.
couple times.
And I
The
think didn't the cigar one go off too? Because I thought you
it
had a
got
cigar
its few
box.
beeps in. It didn't go. It went off fully, maybe once or twice. Like it really grabbed the antenna. Um,
Mm.
but yeah, those are the two that is very prominent for that location because it's a bar for one, and cigarette smoke, cigar smoke is always being used there. So that's why I like to
Right.
bring those items along. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. We'll see what happens when we go back there next time. And get a date arranged to come up there or down there. I always say come up. Go down there, do a live podcast and up by the stage area and do some investigating because I think with the live broadcast too, I think it's going to stir a lot of stuff in the background.
Oh, it
Oh
should. Yeah.
yeah. You never know
So
what you're going to catch on the cameras either.
right, exactly.
Yeah,
So
and a few other things I could probably throw out there for potential trigger objects. Um, I've got it on pretty good authority that Cowboy partook in the chewing tobacco. So if somebody came in there with like an old, with a can of Redmond or Grizzly or anything like that, I would just say straight tobacco because he doesn't seem like a
a
spearmint
pouch.
guy.
Hmm.
Definitely would skip on the Zins. They'd probably look at you funny. Um, and another thing that I think I'm gonna try at some point is getting loose leaf tobacco in there
Okay.
Oh yeah.
because I'm relatively certain there are some native spirits hanging around there. They just haven't really come forward.
Hmm.
But the loose leaf tobacco might be a good trigger. I would say sage would be another good trigger. Um, just to get something in there that would be familiar to an older spirit. 'Cause, I mean
Hmm.
Well,
it's right there along the river. There's so much that happened there.
hmm
Um,
I mean, but the place is built in 1864, correct?
yes,
So I mean, we're right there with the Native Americans fully running the country, basically.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, you got the circus across the river, so it's a good chance. Still hoping one night to hear an elephant. I really am. There have
Hmm.
been stories of phantom elephants in Baraboo, so I want it to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne will have to get his elephants shout out.
An ER costume.
Yeah. Hey, Taryn, how you doing? So, with that, we are beyond top of the hour here, about 9:15. And definitely want to continue more about talking the old Baraboo Inn and stuff like that. Greatly appreciate your time tonight, Corey and Wayne, for joining me tonight. Um, and another reason why I brought Wayne on is because we went there, and I think that with his questions and Abby's questions, it really helps out a lot, and helps with the interview too,
Hmm.
process. Um, so where can people reach you, Corey? And do you have anything coming up?
Yeah, so Facebook, you can find me under Corey Edmund McCann. I'm on Instagram, same handle on TikTok, so it's pretty much the same thing all over the place. Yeah, it was great seeing you too, Abby, through the screen. Um,
Touch.
but yeah, absolutely, yeah, yeah, that'll reach out to touch me. Um, but yeah, you can find me there. I am starting up a YouTube channel with my friend Kevin, who piped in at the beginning of the show. It's called the Wisconsin Living Legends. We're going to be touring around the state, checking things out, taking video.
There
Yeah, I saw that too. Um, I say sorry about beating me too. But yeah, Wisconsin Living Legends on YouTube. You could just type that in. It'll come up. I think the profile picture is an old beer bottle of Wisconsin Select from way back in the day.
Ooh.
So that'll be my buddy Kevin and I doing that. We're gonna go to haunted locations. Um, and then just kind of different quirky areas around the state and review the food, the locals, any of the stories. I think Minocqua's coming up pretty soon. We're going to see if we can find evidence of the mooski,
Ah.
which is a wild combination of a moose and a muskie that was allegedly seen up there way back in the day, like early 1800s. People swore they saw a fish with antlers, and that's all they needed. So,
Wow.
I mean, we're going to be looking into cryptid stories too, because I got a few tricks up my sleeve on that one. But
Bigfoot, yeah. See now, Bigfoot, I'm not really too much into Bigfoot. I'm one of those see it and believe it kind of guys for Bigfoot, but definitely be interesting if you find something.
yeah, I mean, I would like to say I could become friends with Bigfoot and we'd just like cuddle in the woods together or something, but you
Oh
know.
boy, you better bring yourself a little duct tape there, buddy. Watch out for aliens too.
That's right.
Uh,
Yeah, I might have to get you guys just out there in Sauk County in general and go looking for UFOs because I've seen a few down
oh
there.
yeah, Beast of Bray
Oh
Road's not
wow.
too far away either.
Yep.
Which road in Ripon?
What's that?
Which road in Ripon? That's one too. That one's more of
Oh
a
Yeah,
yes.
but I don't think we can get in
Yeah.
there anymore because that's a private road now.
Yeah, but
really.
I think you could still get to Boy Scout Lane though up in Stevens Point.
Oh yes,
Boy
yes.
Scout Lane.
And then there's a
Um,
cemetery not too far from that either. But the
Correct.
Boy Scout lane, yes, you definitely want to go there. I was there not too long, a couple of summers ago, and oh my god, yeah, it's a trip. But you
Yeah,
you
can't go
can't
all the
get
way to the bottom.
into. Yeah,
right.
and you
Yeah,
can't get into
and if you
the
decide
one in Green Lake either.
yeah. And
The
doing Plainfield, that's an interesting
oh
one because you got to be sneaky about it. You don't want to rustle up the locals.
Yeah, well, I
yeah,
got a little history with that there. You definitely, if you go into the cemetery there, you have to be doing it during the daytime because nighttime they'll come out with shotguns.
Yep.
They do wrestle. Like if you're going anywhere where that warehouse was, which from what I understand is supposed to be turned into a Mexican restaurant. Um, that the locals will come by and shout out obscenities at you through their cars. So it's
Yeah,
a
I
very
was definitely on my guard the last time I was up there because I kind of just did a kind of like a hotspot run where I just kind of looked at everything, but I didn't like actively investigate.
mhm.
Um, luckily
Skiing
nobody found.
spot's okay too. Where his house was, you just gotta be careful.
Yeah, just stay on the street. You're generally
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Nobody even follows
yeah.
you out there, really. I mean, unless it's like really busy time. But I was out there on a rainy day. Nobody.
Oh, where the house was?
Yeah,
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 there
we
there
didn't
are
have any
people
trouble
that
either.
do come out there and watch for you and take your license plates and all that stuff.
hmm
yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything like that when I was up there. And I mean, well, I mean, you guys saw my vehicle. it's not that hard to spot.
Hmm.
Bright ass orange. I mean, you ain't gonna miss the damn thing. But yeah, that's definitely one you got to be careful with. But it's so interesting, so interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I definitely got to get out on the Lake Michigan Lake Shore there because there's a lot of
Oh, I
stuff out
bet.
that way.
Supposedly there is another like Bermuda Triangle type deal out there.
Yep, that's why I want to go out there.
So.
Another big one is Whitewater.
Oh
Yep,
yeah, the witch
Um,
cemetery.
Whitewater's
Second
on my list
Salem.
too for the summer.
Yeah, they got some kind of triangle thing there too, and I can't
Mhm.
remember what the 3 points are,
Um,
but I know
there's an old water tower, like one of those old
Oh
stone
yeah.
water towers. That's one point. Uh, I can't remember which cemetery it is, but that's the other point. I'm having a hard time remembering where the third point was, but I know if you go between that cemetery and that water tower, that's part of it right there.
Hmm.
Because there
Mhm.
is activity at that water tower.
And there is an
Wow.
actual witch school that's there teaching witchcraft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which really isn't anything to be scared of, really. I mean,
No.
No.
a lot of people freak out about that, but I've
Yeah.
known witches like half of my adult life, and they're the coolest
Yeah.
people on the planet.
You know,
Yeah.
I was always afraid of witches myself, and then I got to know a friend of mine, Cynthia Gerodius, and she's like, "No, why are you afraid of me? You don't need to be afraid of me." It's like,
Yeah.
no,
It depends how they use it too. I mean, what they're
Oh
doing, you
yeah,
know,
well, you get
yeah,
that doll out.
intention.
yep, yeah. If they're coming at you with nothing but love and light, then they're all good to go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
those are the ones. Those are the ones you love to meet because
Yep.
they're gonna teach you everything, like
Mhm.
functionalities of different rocks, um, like moon water. I hadn't really ever heard of moon water until I dated a witch. She
Yeah.
was teaching me all about it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always the sign is never piss off a witch.
That's right. You carry that respect.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do. All right, folks. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. I'll have Corey back on at some point when he is not so busy because his busy season is starting to come around the corner. And Wayne, I'll have him back on with me at some point. Tomorrow night, actually. Wayne is going to be on with me tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about their last location they went to. They had quite a fearful night, I should say. So,
Yeah. Crazy.
so join us tomorrow. I think we're going to start at 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay.
Be a little bit earlier. But yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'll get John on here, and if Abby wants to, she can come on as well and talk about her experiences and stuff like that. But yeah, so tune in tomorrow night when I'll get that out there. And thank you, Corey, for joining us tonight. Thank you, Wayne, for joining us tonight. Remember, you can catch us on the Paranormal Brew and the BB3 TV networks. And if you don't have Facebook, you can join us on YouTube at MGS Paranormal 4258. With that, that's Corey, that's Wayne, and I'm Darren. I bid you adieu. So long, everybody.